Okay, guys, let's go through these real quick. You can see the sky had a really interesting color, and the light is a little bit muted, so I'm already thinking black and white with these. And again, what I like to do is just kind of flip through them real fast. This is going to be a different kind of discussion we're going to have because I want to talk about the idea of using geometric shapes as compositional tools. This one's going out right away. Its angle's wrong. This is super flat and boring, plus the building's cut off. This one feels pretty neutral in its distance, where here it feels a bit more engaged. You see how the angle of the building, this blue building, kind of bisects this one better. So I like that one versus this one, which is very neutral. So it's coming out again. So we've got this guy. Oh, see, I like that even better. You see what I mean about the angle being much more dramatic in here? This is, again, it's kind of a flat angle, plus you've got this light pole behind here. Here, see how the angle of this just pulls you right directly into this part of the picture, right into the center. And you know I like that. I like to triangulate a lot. So that one I like a lot. This one I like a lot too for different reasons. It really does discuss the idea of just simply geometric shapes. That one's kind of boring. It goes nowhere. And again, this one's kind of boring. It goes nowhere. So I think this one and this one are the two I'll work with. But look at the difference in the light on these. This is when the sun was kind of trying to push through the clouds and it was reflecting down this really funky color. And just a few minutes later, the color had changed. So these are the two I'm going to talk about. This is the one I'm going to edit. Let's start another one. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and open up Snapseed. And we're going to go find that photo, which is in my favorites. I do that so I can find it easier. I'm producing a ton of work right now, so being able to quickly and efficiently get to the picture makes sense. You can see how yellow this is, but that's because the sky was so yellow. And you know, I like to kind of flip through or click through a couple of these different options here. What I'm looking at is how the clouds are shaping, are coming together in it more than anything else. Yeah, actually, I think I like that pop. You know, see how the clouds have some good definition? We're going to go there. Next thing I'm going to do is hit Tools, go to Black and White. And, you know, I talked about this before. There are these options on top. And a lot of times I just look at these to get an idea of what the picture is going to do. See, that's got some nice contrast built up into it. So that might work there. We're going to check the filtration and see what that does to the sky. Boy, that really got dark, didn't it? That's pretty good there, and you'll see why, because we're actually going to pull a lot of this back as we go. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to go to HDR scope, and again, I just kind of want to see what happens as I work the HDR through this. And in there's somewhere where it kind of goes from flat, where I'm beginning to see definition in some of these areas. So we're going to give it about a 15%. Next thing we're going to do is go up to details. So hit Tools, Details, and you'll see there are two options. There's sharpening and structure. So I'm going to open up structure, and I want you to see what this does to the picture. See how it builds all that noise and grain into it? And when you pull it out, it kind of flattens it all out. You see the difference in there? So somewhere in between here, I want to bring in detail and structure in the clouds. So that's where it was. I'm just going to give it a tiny bit more. Okay, there we go. Let's go under Glamour Glow, and I just want to see what this one does. You see how it kind of softens everything up now? Glamour Glow is this interesting effect where it just adds, it softens all the edges and all the hardness up. It kind of denoises it. So I'm going to do that one because I like that Glamour Glow look. All right, so next, believe it or not, I want to crop this. I think it's better as a square. Yeah, right in there. Okay, now the reason I did that is because remember, this picture's, the whole idea behind this edit is using geometric shapes as compositional tools. So if you stop, don't look at these as buildings and tankers. Look at them as shapes. We have circles, squares, triangles, lighter triangles, darker triangles. Then we have texture in the sky. And the whole idea is that building depth through using different shapes. And so if you just forget about what these are for a minute and just look at them as shapes. So for example, we're going to do this. I'm going to go up under Image Tune and go to Contrast and crank it up really high. Then you can really see how these are just geometric shapes. So I like the contrast where it was. Now remember, I like to go to ambience and just kind of see what that does. See, that's too much. But if I give it a little bit, we're going to go about 15. It opens up some of these values underneath, the shadows underneath, and that I like. All right, next thing I want to do is we're going to go to vignette. I just want to see, actually I don't like the vignette. We're not going to do that at all. So we're going to not do that one at all. Okay, now, next thing I want to do is I'm going to darken the overall image just all the way down, like so. About in there, and you'll see why, because I'm going to go back under brush, and this is where I'm going to start to pull out individual aspects of this. I'm going to kind of hit some of the highlights in here, and that's going to help me build in the depth. Now remember, if you hit the eye symbol, you can see where you've actually manipulated the picture. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to work a little bit of this stuff in here. Now if we zoom in and we hit erase, which we can then take out all the areas that we don't want to be affected. And we remember, we're just going to build this. It's a process of building the picture into, we're doing it in steps. So as we go, we'll continually come back and address these areas as we look at it. So I'm just going to do this part for starters. All right, and take out that. So we hit the check mark. So you can see I've lightened this, I've lightened that, and we're beginning to get a build. So I'm using these geometric shapes to build a depth and a composition into the picture. Okay, so it feels a little bit like it's just a little bit heavy and dark right now. So I'm going to go back under ambience, and I'm going to play it this one more time. God, I actually really like it kind of just darker like that. Okay, so we're going to X out of that. Okay, guys, so it's pretty close. We're getting there. We're starting to build, depth into it. So I'm going to go back under Tools, Image Tune, down to Ambience again, and I'm going to take some of that out, because now you can see where I dodged those areas. Those geometric shapes are really getting strong, and so we're getting this layered depth in the picture, and that's kind of what I'm going for here. I'm not going for this documentation of what I saw. I want to create a geometric composition, and so that's what I'm working on right now. The other thing I want to do is go back under Tools and under Warmth, because I want to warm it up a tiny bit, because that'll help me see it. About 10% is usually what I do. Okay, so brush, 5%, and I'm just going to hit through a couple of these areas, just right up in here, just a tiny bit, just to bring a little bit more detail into that. I'm going to finish that off, clean these up, these edges up just a little bit. That looks good. Now I'm going to go to -5. You see that? I'm just going to bring it through here just a tiny bit. See, there's this white area right there that I want to minimize in here. -10, and I'm just going to minimize that. And the whole idea is that I want your eye to come up into here, as opposed to coming, traveling around. So right now, you enter in the picture here, and you slip over to here, and you go to there. So it's these geometric shapes have built a line for your eye to follow, and that's where I'm going with that. It still feels a bit dark, so I'm going to go back under Ambience one more time. You see what I just, this is probably more what you would naturally think about this picture, but because I'm going for a completely different visual experience, I'm just going to give it a tiny bit more to open up those values underneath just a bit. So here's where I'm at. It's a little dark in here. It's a little dark in there. I'm going to go back to that one more time. Let's go to brightness. And again, sometimes I just do these to see what happens to the values in different areas, because you can go back and individually work on these areas. Yeah, somewhere right in there feels... So that's where we were at. I'm going to bring it out just a bit more. That's a lot. So I'm going to go about 35% there. Now I'm going to go back under here and go to Ambience again, because I want to look at it and see what happens as I move it through. Yeah, so right about there. Okay. We're pretty close, you guys. Now the question is, do I mess with the sky more? And I don't think so. I don't want the sky to compete with these areas, so I'm going to let it keep falling back just a little bit. I do want to darken this down just a touch and open that up a tiny bit. So we're going to go to brushes, dodge and burn, 5%, and I'm just going to open this up a tiny bit through here, just so that I have a little bit more in there. And then I'm going to go down to -5, and I'm going to pass it right through here, just to bring that down a tiny bit more. And I just want to, okay, well, actually, we're going to hit the check mark, tools, brushes, -5, and I just want to pass it through here to see what happens. See, it started to compete with that, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to hit that X. Okay, guys, so I feel like we're pretty close on what I want to do with this. Again, this was an exercise in using geometric shapes and how to bring your eye through the picture in different ways. So right now, I enter here, I'm in here, I come here, and I'm there. And that's the idea. Plus, there's just enough values in here to let your eye kind of drift around. Okay, guys, so we're going to export and save. This is one of the 2 pictures that I chose to edit. I wanted to show you this one. This is the one I shared on social media, so some of you may have seen it. But what I like about this is there's just these pockets of light. It's late evening. It's almost dark. So you get this light. You get this area back here. You get this area, and this whole part down here. So what you get are these destination points for your eye to land on as you're looking through the picture. Remember, this video is about using geometric shapes to create an image that has power and punch to it. Is this the greatest picture in the world? No, it's not. But for what I want to talk about, it does. So you see here, triangles, rectangles. It's pretty simple. You know, texture-wise, you get all these great vertical lines in it. Then in the sky, you end up with all this softness. So it really does work well for that reason. So that's one of 2. Here's the other one. Here's the picture I just edited, and I want to show you a couple of things that I couldn't see on the phone. Part of it is because of the way I'm editing, you know, standing over, it's not up close to my face. Part of it is just, it's a small screen. But look at this area here, totally blocked up, and this is kind of an eyesore, that area. And if you go from that to, I took it back into the Snapseed, and I edited it again, and look at the difference. So I lightened this area back up and I darkened this area down. So let me click between the 2 and you'll see the difference. Look at those areas. You see how there's all this bleed over in here, and I don't like that. So I went back in, I cleaned it up. My eye moves through here. It doesn't get caught in this part down here. My eye moves through here much easier, and that makes it a much more successful picture. Let's talk about a couple different aspects of this that make it a successful image. Again, is this the greatest picture? No, but for what I want to talk about, for the compositional aspects of this, I think it's perfect for it. So here we go. You have an entry point, a landing point in the picture right here, and that immediately brings you into this leading line, which brings you into this area, which then allows you to sort of float through here. So it's a pretty simple picture. I mean, it's just a couple of quick leading lines with these great, simple, geometric shapes everywhere, circles, squares, triangles, and that's all it really is. I just wanted to have some rectangles, circles, squares, triangles, vertical lines that lead you deeper into the picture. There are a lot of different ways I could have edited this. You know, I could have brought this out a little bit more, but I like the subtlety of it. It makes you actually go look for it. So as you're passing from here into here, there's just this little detail that makes you look for it, and that holds your eye for just a little bit longer. But again, I want to keep this area dark so that it would allow, so when I start through here, I don't suddenly slip out of the picture down there. And that was important. Okay, guys, as always, please subscribe to the channel. If you have questions or thoughts, please don't hesitate. I'd love to hear them all. Have a great day.